The town of Black Hollow sat at the edge of a forest so dense it seemed to swallow the sunlight whole. Beyond the trees, nestled against the jagged cliffs of the Bitterroot Mountains, was a place the locals called the Devil's Throat, a cave with a mouth like a gaping wound in the earth. No one knew how deep it went. No one wanted to know. The stories were enough to keep most folks away. Strange lights flickering in its depths, voices that weren't quite human, and the handful of explorers who'd ventured inside and never came back. But I wasn't most folks. My name's Caleb, and I was 24, restless, and stupid enough to think I could conquer the unknown for a few bucks. I'd been hiking those mountains for years, and when my buddy Ethan dared me to spend a night in the Devil's Throat for $100, I laughed it off. Easy money, I thought. I'd camped in worse places, so with a backpack stuffed with a sleeping bag, a flashlight, and a cheap camcorder to prove I'd done it, I set out at dusk. The trail to the cave was overgrown, like the forest itself was trying to hide it. The air grew colder as I approached, the wind carrying a low hum that I chalked up to my imagination. The entrance loomed ahead, a jagged arch of black stone framed by moss and dripping water. It looked wrong somehow, like it wasn't just a hole in the mountain, but a doorway to something else. I shook off the feeling, switched on my flashlight, and stepped inside. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Damp and metallic, like old blood mixed with wet earth. The cave walls were slick, glistening in the beam of my light, and the floor sloped downward, pulling me deeper, whether I wanted to go or not. My footsteps echoed, but the sound felt off, like something else was stepping in time with me. I laughed nervously, my voice bouncing back in a way that made my skin crawl. "Just a cave, Caleb," I muttered. "Just rocks and shadows." I set up camp about 50 feet in, where the tunnel widened into a small chamber. The walls here were etched with strange, spiraling patterns, too deliberate to be natural, too old to be vandalism. They reminded me of the symbols my grandma used to draw to ward off bad spirits, but these felt hungrier. I didn't linger on them. I unrolled my sleeping bag, set up the camcorder to record my epic adventure, and tried to settle in. The plan was simple: stay until morning, collect my $100, and laugh about it over beers with Ethan. The first hour was uneventful. I ate a granola bar, sipped some water, and scrolled through my phone until the signal died. The silence was heavy, broken only by the occasional drip of water somewhere deeper in the cave. Then I heard it. A whisper. Faint but unmistakable. It wasn't a word, not exactly. More like a breath shaped into a sound. I froze, my flashlight beam darting across the walls. Nothing, just stone and darkness. I told myself it was just the wind, but the air was still, too still. I checked the camcorder. The red recording light blinked steadily, but the screen showed something odd. The chamber looked different. The walls seemed closer, the shadows thicker, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement, a shape darting just out of frame. I rewound the footage, my hands shaking. There it was again, a flicker of something pale, humanoid but not quite, slipping behind a rock. My heart pounded. I aimed the flashlight at the spot. Empty. "Okay, Caleb," I whispered. "You're freaking yourself out. It's just a glitch." But I didn't believe it. I grabbed the camcorder and pointed it around the chamber, narrating to keep myself grounded. "All right, folks. Hour 2 in The Devil's Throat. Creepy as hell, but I'm still here. No ghosts yet." My voice sounded thin, like the cave was eating it. That's when the whispering started again. Louder this time, coming from deeper in the tunnel. It wasn't one voice, but many, overlapping like a crowd murmuring just out of earshot. I couldn't make out words, but the tone felt urgent, almost pleading. I stood, flashlight in one hand, camcorder in the other, and called out, "Who's there?" The whispers stopped abruptly, leaving a silence so thick it pressed against my eardrums. I should have packed up and left. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but Ethan's $100 and my own stubborn pride kept me rooted. I decided to explore just a little deeper, to prove there was nothing to fear. The tunnel narrowed as I descended, the walls closing in until I had to hunch to keep moving. The air grew colder, the metallic smell stronger. My flashlight beam caught more of those strange carvings, deeper and more intricate, like they were telling a story I didn't want to understand. Then I saw it, a footprint in the dust, bare, human-shaped, but too long, with toes that looked more like claws. It pointed deeper into the cave. My breath hitched. I swung the camcorder around, recording everything. "Okay, this isn't right," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "There's something down here." The whispers returned, louder, closer. They weren't coming from ahead anymore. They were all around me. My flashlight flickered, and for a heart-stopping moment, it went out completely. In the darkness, something brushed against my arm. Cold, clammy, like a hand without warmth. I yelped, fumbling to relight the flashlight. When it flared back on, the tunnel was empty. But the footprints were gone, erased like they'd never been there. Panic clawed at me, but I forced myself to keep going. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I could outrun whatever was down there. The tunnel opened into another chamber, this one vast, with a ceiling so high my light couldn't reach it. In the center was a pool of water, black and still, reflecting my flashlight like a mirror. The whispers were deafening now, a chorus of voices that seemed to come from the pool itself. I approached, my camcorder shaking in my grip. The water wasn't just dark, it was wrong. It didn't ripple, didn't move, even when a drop of water fell from the ceiling. I leaned closer, and my reflection stared back. But it wasn't me. The face in the water was pale, eyeless, its mouth stretched into a silent scream. I stumbled back, dropping the camcorder. It hit the ground, the lens cracking, but it kept recording. The whispers turned into words. "Stay," they said over and over. "Stay with us." I grabbed the camcorder and ran, not caring about the $100 or the footage or anything except getting out. The tunnel seemed longer now, twisting in ways it hadn't before. My flashlight died again, and in the dark I heard footsteps, not mine, running with me. Something cold grazed my neck, and I screamed, swinging blindly. My fist hit nothing but air. When I finally saw the cave's entrance, I nearly sobbed with relief. I burst into the night, collapsing onto the forest floor. The air was warm and alive, nothing like the dead chill of the cave. I checked the camcorder. The battery was dead, but the memory card was intact. I didn't dare watch the footage until I was back in Black Hollow, safe in my apartment. When I played it, my blood ran cold. The first hour was normal, just me setting up, joking, eating my granola bar. But then the footage changed. The chamber walls pulsed like they were breathing. The shadows moved, forming shapes that weren't mine. And in the pool chamber, the reflection wasn't just one face. It was dozens, all eyeless, all screaming, their mouths moving in sync with the whispers. "Stay," they said. "Stay with us." The final frame showed me running through the tunnel, but I wasn't alone. Behind me, just out of reach, was a figure. Pale, too tall, its limbs bent at wrong angles. It didn't chase me. It just followed, smiling. I never went back to the Devil's Throat. I didn't take Ethan's money. I don't even hike anymore. But sometimes at night, when the world is quiet, I still hear the whispers. Faint, like they're coming from far away. "Stay," they say. And I wonder if I ever really left that cave.